Aloha, beautiful people. We are going live once again. So let's invite James. Hello, James.
Hey, how's it
Hello.
going?
I'm super present. And you?
I'm great. Good to see you.
The same here. Thank you so much for showing up. And I truly apologize for the delay. Like I found out actually the time changed.
Yeah,
I guess yesterday.
yeah.
And so actually after talking with you, I sent like thousands of messages that's about time changes. Crazy. So I honestly love to start our lives with some grounding experiences. So I would love to invite everyone to close our eyes for one moment and take 5 deep breaths. And as we connect to our breath, I would love you to connect with a deep memory of gratitude. Maybe something that happened recently, maybe something that happened a few months ago or years ago. It doesn't matter. Connect the feeling of gratitude and feel it in every cell of your body. And as we connect with this deep feeling of gratitude, I would also love to invite you to set an intention for our life today with James. And my intention today is to be fully present, live with integrity, and be in service for all of you listening and showing up and doing this amazing work on yourselves. Be proud of you. And whenever you're ready, you can just move your body a little bit and you can open your eyes and connect with us. James.
What a beautiful intro. Thank you.
Welcome. I am honestly so honored and stoked to be talking with you right now. I've been following you for a while. I've been laughing so much at your memes, and I love the words that you use in in everything that you do, pretty much. So I would love to ask you, like, uh, based on your internal life, like, what is your unique superpower?
Hmm. Well, what comes to mind when you say that in terms of what my unique superpower is, because I think that we all have great superpowers and great potential. And anything that we feel called to do, when we put our mind to it and we commit to it, it can be achieved. So in terms of my art and my writing and my memes and all the work that I do, the superpower is in my commitment to my art. And it's in all the years that I've spent practicing. You know, it's just the fact that I've been writing and drawing and making art since I was a kid. And, you know, people talk about ideas and creativity as there being some kind of like a muse, or, you know, there are ideas that live out in the ether that come to us. And I think that they come to people who they know they can trust because they are committed to the process. So it's not even special to me. It's just that my superpower to make the work I do and to make the art I do is that I've made a lifelong commitment to showing up for art and for writing and for poetry. And, you know, Malcolm Gladwell once wrote that, you know, to be an expert in anything, you need to put in 10,000 hours of practice before you're good at it. So it's just dedication and commitment and showing up and just, you know, being a vessel for whatever wants to come through.
Yes. Wow, this is so incredible. So basically, you're telling me that your superpower is showing up in doing your creative work with the poems, with the memes, with the words, and everything else. So this has been your superpower. Showing up, I must guess, in the moments where you didn't feel like doing it, in a moment where this seems like too crazy, no one is gonna do like it, or no one this is not going anywhere. So your superpower is showing up in those difficult moments, I must guess.
I think so, because, you know, every morning I talk to a lot of artists that they might be talented, but they might not show up every single day.
Yeah.
And like, if I go a morning without working on art or creating something, I don't feel right.
Mm-hmm.
Like it doesn't, it just, I can't, like, I can't go on with my day unless I've like, you know, had my, a few hours for creativity. And that doesn't mean that I have to produce a lot during that time. You know, there are mornings when I sit down to work and like nothing comes through, and that's fine. I don't put any pressure on myself, but I've got to at least show up and sit down, have my notebook, have my yerba mate tea, and see what happens.
Mm.
So it's just commitment. It's just dedication. It's just the passion that you put into your work. So yeah, I mean, you can call it a superpower, but it's really being able to access that supernatural power that we all have access to.
Yeah, totally. No, absolutely. Like, honestly, I feel like all of us, at some level, we've got some superpowers. And I think like we should devote our lives into that, into those superpowers, into those things that we do better than other things. Like, for example, in your case, it's art and memes and all of this poetry. And maybe for other people, it's other things. Maybe it's businesses. Maybe it's public speaking. So, like, how do you like how like basically my question, so you're showing up every day, but how do you set your environment in order that you show up efficiently?
Yeah. Well, you know, when you say how do you set up your environment, I think of a lot of things come to mind for me for that. There's the physical environment,
Mm-hmm.
there's also the internal environment,
Yeah.
and the environment of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot goes into that. Whatever you put into your consciousness, it's going to come back out, right? We're reflections of whatever we consume. So I like to first of all, I like to treat my creative space as a sacred space. I think we need to flirt with creativity. We need to make the environment attractive for her to come and visit, right? we
Yeah.
need to we need to seduce the muse. So that means being serious. It means having a peaceful environment, a quiet environment. I usually have inspiring instrumental music playing. And I just try to keep an open mind. I think that in terms of the internal environment, I think that having too many opinions and just too much chatter going on in the mental space is a hindrance to creativity, because the conscious mind is very busy and active. And what we need to do is soften and quiet that active conscious mind so we can tune into the much deeper subconscious mind, which is accessed through our intuition and through our imagination. So I just try to cultivate an open-minded approach to life,
Mm-hmm.
where I try not to take my own opinions too seriously, and I just try to be, as much as I can, a vessel for ideas and inspiration to come through and kind of get out of my own way. So that's kind of how you cultivate the inner environment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I feel you so much with that. And yeah, the external environment is key. Like, I guess, like, something that kills creativity is distraction. So I think that distract us, specifically like technology and the phone and notification. That's like not good in my opinion. The same things like having thousands of tabs open in the computer doesn't help for creativity. And then people wonder, I'm not creative. But I would say, thanks the fuck, like this notification kicking in every 10, 15 minutes. Like, there's no way that we get creative, in my opinion. So I must guess you have the time for creativity, and that's it. There's nothing else. There's no time for distraction. There's no time for, whatever that is not about creativity, I must guess. For you, that's just one task, and you go full in. Is that how you do that?
Hmm. Well, I'm not a rigid person either.
Okay. Okay.
So I go with the flow, because I'll definitely be like checking my phone in between paragraphs or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
because I think we live in a modern world where there's, distractions are kind of hard to avoid. So instead of trying to avoid all distractions, I see, like, how can I integrate these distractions? Like, I might like browse Twitter like in the middle of working on something,
Yeah.
but I might see something that sparks something else,
Mm.
and that might take me in a different direction. So I try not to put too much pressure on the process either. So I definitely should be more focused, but I'll like play with my dogs and listen to music and check Twitter and do little things. And sometimes that's helpful too. Like, like some people, I don't remember who said this, but I've heard people say that they might, when they're working,
Mm-hmm.
they might like have a movie on, and and
Mm.
and it'll be like maybe quiet, but just like something to distract you in the right way. So like part of your mind is occupied with the TV, but it's not the important part.
Yeah.
And then somehow that kind of takes a little bit of the pressure off the work.
Mm-hmm.
So big distractions are bad, but little distractions can be useful when used in the right way.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
I'm so stoked with your approach because I mean it's working for you, and that's so great. I I love that. I mean, I must say I love your flexibility and how you allow yourself to go with it. I don't know. I feel like tell me about that. Like, do you know about flow states, right?
Yeah,
So
I'm familiar with
yeah,
flow states. I'm not an expert on the topic, but yeah,
uh-huh,
I definitely am familiar with flow states.
yeah. So then I guess like how do you access flow states? Like uh, doing more than one thing at the time. For example, yes, you're doing art and the same time checking Twitter, the same time playing with the dog. Is this like a state of egoless and timeless experience anyway, or there's something else going on?
Interesting question. You know, part of it is the nature of the work that I do.
Mm-hmm.
In other words, for the most part, I'm creating art for social media.
Yes.
So in other words, little pieces of writing,
Mm-hmm.
little memes. In other words, each piece of art is like one idea. So I don't need to be in flow long to get like one idea.
Mm.
Because I know one thing that you talk about is microdosing, right?
Yes.
So what what I do is somewhat maybe I'm microdosing flow states, and I'm micro and I'm publishing my art as a microdosing protocol. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, yes, yes.
Because
Mm.
even my book, like my latest book, it's a full book, right? But it's a bunch of small pieces put
Mm-hmm.
together.
Yes.
So that's just something that's unique to my art, and I think it's maybe unique to the world we live in, where I'm interested in making art that fits the culture that we live in, which is a bit of a distracted culture, right? I don't try to
Mm.
fight against that. You know, people might complain to say like, oh, people don't have the attention span to read anymore. And I'm like, well, make your writing work for the people that are too distracted to read a book. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, don't
Yeah.
blame the audience.
Yeah.
Make your work fit the audience and their life, right? The customer is never wrong. so, so in other words, I think that distractions to a degree are part of modern life. So, like I said, I try to kind of I get inspired checking Twitter, right? I get inspired checking Instagram because when I use social media, I use it for inspiration. You know, I usually follow accounts that, whether they're writers or artists or whatever, I get inspired by it. So even if I'm distracted, I'm still like, that's part of my process. And it's a little scatterbrained, but we live in a scatterbrained world. So I just try to work with that. But at the same time, you know, I'm an avid meditator and yogi. So I still make time for that, just pure mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so it's all just a balance, and I just try to take it as it comes.
Yes. Wow. Like you're blowing my mind a little bit because Like you're talking here about these micro flow states that you access, and basically like that's all you need. Like that's all you need for your post. That's all you need for whatever things that you have to do. So that's incredible. That's all you need, and beautiful. I love that, and you're using it. Like you said that you use social media for getting inspired and seeing new things. So I would love to also know from you, like literally when I see your stuff, like I don't know, like I think there's some deep creation there. So are you familiar with the idea of channeling like messages from pure consciousness or from God or from whatever? I would love you to guide me through that. How do you get with these ideas? Is it like something you think about and then come up, or something else? Like the light is so weird here, by the way.
It's weird, but it looks cool too. I like it. Yeah, I'm familiar with channeling. It's an interesting question, right? Because I often wonder, like, what is channeling? And there are different kinds of channels. You know, some people channel the Pleiadians, and some people channel, you know, their ancestors.
Yeah.
And some people, you know, if you're a religious person, you might just think you're talking to God, right? So what I tend to believe, because I don't have any specific like religious beliefs, right? I think most religious beliefs are just myths or stories that are metaphors to describe the indescribable nature of consciousness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And what I think that is the common thread between them all is they're all just expressions of your own intuition.
Mm.
Now, what is when you use intuition, like what are you accessing? Like, I don't know, you could call it a lot of things, you know, or you could just call it a muse, you could call it a spirit guide, you could call it God. So I don't give it a label, right? I think it's just source consciousness, or maybe it's the higher self, you know? I don't know, but that's essential for art and creativity, right? Because you've got the conscious mind and you've got the subconscious mind. And the conscious mind knows about this much.
Mm-hmm.
And the unconscious is like an entire vast universe, right?
Yeah.
So I like to think that when I'm creating things, I like to think of it as like a co-creation.
Mm-hmm.
Where, you know, I exist in the 3D physical world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's my job to use my fingers that I was born with, right? To make something.
Yeah.
And then put it out. But I often feel like I'm collaborating with someone behind the scenes in terms of consciousness to kind of like feed me and whisper little secrets in my ear while I'm working, and then it's my job to make it. So
Yeah.
it's like a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's definitely how I see it. So it's really just, you know, an important part of my job then is to just get myself into a state of being receptive to those messages, which is just, you know, sitting in stillness, listening to the space between your thoughts, right? Not looking for, I often say for creativity, you're not trying to solve something, you're trying to receive something. So I try to turn off that like logical, you know, hamster wheel, and more like listen and try to receive something from beyond me. So I think it's similar to channeling, you know, I think people channel different ways, but I definitely think that there's an aspect of that to all creativity.
Yeah. Oh, I feel you so much with this, what you're talking about, James. And actually, there's a concept that you might be familiar with. Do you know Michael Singer?
I know him. I don't know his work well, but I definitely know he wrote the Untethered Soul.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So there's this book called the Surrender Experiment,
Yeah,
and that is describing exactly what you're talking about in a way. So what if you choose to enter in your life just things that comes to you as opportunities, as ideas, and not things that come from your mind, from your ego. Like, I think it's cool to do that. I think this is going to give me this and that. But instead, you choose things based on things that come to you.
yeah,
For example, you have an idea, and you say, this is so stupid. I'm not going to share it. That's, I think, the universe sending you a message, and you're refusing it.
yeah. Definitely. Can I read like a small thing that I wrote about surrender?
Sure, yeah.
I wrote this the other day. This is related to what we're talking about.
Uh-huh.
Surrender is not about quitting. It's about giving up the need for egoic control and aligning your intentions with higher wisdom. This is the difference between force and flow. While in flow, things happen without effort. Synchronicities emerge. Your only job is to find flow, to find a guidance system beyond the desire of your conscious mind. Surrender is the portal.
Yeah, James, you got the point. This is exactly what I was meaning. And you put it in words. That's yourself putting in words. Yeah, astonishing. So I must guess you are familiar with this idea of surrender.
A little bit, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's for me, it's just surrendering the small ego mind.
Yeah.
At the altar of the great subconscious universe.
Totally. So then, based on that, like, when was like the last time you did something in your life, you took a decision based on surrender and not based on ego? Like, what happened? What is the magic that happened?
I mean, what the magic is just getting out of your own way. You know, we can be our own when we try to like march in and like take control of something or like be authoritative. For me, whenever I do that, it never ends up working out for me. Whether that's in a career or a relationship or a creative project, if I try to assert my own will, I just, things end up getting, you end up getting like a lot of friction.
Yeah.
So I can't think of like a big example, but I feel like that's just little things throughout my life, like choosing not to, argue with someone, or choosing to be more cooperative and accommodating to others, and to trust whatever comes through. And if something comes through that I don't like, maybe that's a medicine that I need. So instead of fighting against it, how can I flow with whatever happens?
Yeah.
And it's an ego check. To be like, this isn't what I wanted to happen, but instead of fighting against it, how can you flow with it and just be fluid? I tend to one of my favorite mottos is fluid mind, steady heart. So I try not to hold any ideas too tightly. I try to be fluid and flexible and be open to changing my mind based on anything that happens.
Yeah, exactly. So interesting. I was sure you were doing that, and I mean, I like how you represent yourself. I mean, even seeing you here, I feel also the same flow. And actually, I observed something about you that I think we have someone in common that we like so much, and she's Nicole Lapera. She's like the holistic psychologist, and I've
Yeah,
seen you're very connected with her. So I would
yeah.
love to know like how her presence has changed or impacted your life.
How her presence?
Yes.
I just like how she, I mean, I just like how she's, she's the psychologist for the Instagram generation,
Hmm.
right? I mean, she just breaks things down in a way that is easy to understand and digest. We live
Yeah.
in the infographic. We can only consume content based on if it's in an infographic form now, right?
Mm.
So I feel like she's done that for the whole field of psychology, and she also addresses topics that are very relevant, like things that people are going through, like now, like our generation, which is like dealing with trauma
Hmm.
and having conscious relationships and things that are just very important to the world we live in, but we don't necessarily have a roadmap to follow, right? I think
Mm.
that I think people in all fields, like I mentioned that I was like, my art, I'm like, it's like a microdosing protocol because I put out like just little pieces of information
Yeah.
on a daily basis. And I feel like Nicole is doing that with psychology. She's like, you don't have to go take a course, you don't have to read an entire book. Oh, her name is the Holistic Psychologist on Instagram. And she just makes it easy to digest. So I just think that all fields, if we want to, if we have a topic or a subject that is worth preserving and sharing, we need to find a way to make it relevant to the way people consume content today. And
Hmm.
she's just doing an excellent job in the field of psychology for doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's so incredible how you're putting this in words because, yeah, I found it like very impactful. But what you're saying is that is putting this content in a way that it is easy to digest for the Instagram generation. Which is so true. Like people would rather go on Instagram now than I guess read a book. And so let's say randomly someone follows her and see that maybe they can stop a little bit and see like, well, maybe I need more attention in some part of my life.
Yeah, yeah, and I think her finger is just really on the pulse of the message that people need today. You know,
Yeah.
people need to people need to heal, and people recognize that, and they
Hmm.
need tools to heal themselves and their relationships. So that's the message that we need right now is how to do that. So people are eager for it.
Hmm. Totally, totally. And that's exactly also what you're doing. What I'm doing is pretty much like putting out content that inspire us first, and then potentially like having an impact to this generation of Instagram. And who knows how things are gonna develop in the next few years. With the metaverse, all of these things. I mean, I have no clue what's going on exactly, but if how things have been growing so fast in the last 20, 30 years, I must guess you're going even faster now. How do you see the future yourself?
Yeah, it's hard to predict, other than that it's going to be very probably stranger than we can imagine. I mean, it's hard to make specific predictions because they're never right, but you can make general projections.
Hmm.
So, like, the world today is nothing like it was 20 years ago, but it's different in ways we didn't expect, right? Like, I mean, back back in the 50s, people thought we were going to have flying cars. We don't have flying cars, but we have the internet, which is more revolutionary than flying cars, right? So it's hard to predict. I think the metaverse is a big buzzword right now. I don't think that's a real thing. I think that's mostly just like PR for Facebook. Like, we're not gonna walk around with VR masks on all day. I think there'll be more. It could be even more crazy and better than that too. Like, there might be like screens that can just kind of show up in the air in front of you, so you can have more of a seamless integration with technology and nature. Because I don't think that, I think that there's a lot of people in the spiritual community that are a little fearful around technology. And rightfully so. I see the concerns, because I think the technology we have now is still a bit crude and unrefined, as great as it is. We still have screens and phones, and the technology of the future won't look like the technology today. I think that technology is, in its essence, part of nature.
Yeah.
I think everything is technology. Like, nature is a very, very, very highly sophisticated form of technology that's programmed by source code and mathematics, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
So I would like to see our technology evolve into becoming more natural. So I don't know how that's going to look, but my hope is I'm a perpetual optimist. So, and nothing's good and bad, right? No, things change, and things change drastically, and some of the changes are good and some of the changes are bad, or depending on your perspective, these ones are bad and these ones are good. It really depends on where you're sitting.
Yeah.
But I don't believe in utopia, and I don't believe in a dystopia either. I think that, we live in a world of polarity, and there's always going to be beautiful things, there's always going to be terrible things, and that's the nature of this plane of existence, right? So I think that what we're seeing now is like we're reaching a new level in the video game. We haven't beat the video game, but we're at a new level, and there's going to be new prizes to win. There's going to be new bad guys. There's going to be new. We've leveled up. Yeah. That doesn't mean we've defeated evil. It also doesn't mean that evil has defeated us. We're just at the new level of the video game. Everything leveled up. Yeah. So we just need to figure out what's going on and how to figure out how to play this new level. Yeah. And how to make art and write books and help people and how to do all these things in the new world that we are living in today. Yeah. I like your perspective. Honestly, what you said, potentially anything could happen in 10, 20 years. And it's not easy to predict. As you said, it wasn't predictable 20 years ago that we could do that, right now. And that actually, you can create a living with that. I mean, pretty much, I create a living with Instagram, and then of course I build up more work out there. But that was unthinkable 20 years ago. And as a matter of fact, I was in school and I was the worst at school, and it seems like there was no future for me from the employee standpoint, because I didn't want to work for a company or whatever. I just wanted to do my own things, but no clue what that could have been. And then Instagram, I mean, for how much can be, destructive, how much can be manipulative, has completely transformed my life. And I think millions of people's lives, for good and bad.
So I guess depends how you use that, these technologies. I think they're gonna speed up our process of growth.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, cryptocurrency and you know, NFTs and artificial intelligence, there's going to be a role for all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a matter of how we use them. You know, everything is just a tool for us to use, and we can use things for help or for harm. So, you know, for me, I'm just like, how can I use the tools that we have today for good or for, you know, for creativity.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I still haven't quite figured out the whole
Yeah.
crypto NFT space, but
Mm.
I think that offers us a lot of potential to fix some social problems by using some of these new technologies.
Yeah, because especially for what you do, like I think you could be rewarded with NFTs with the work that you're doing, because pretty much Instagram doesn't pay you with that. That is your task to sort of monetize it if you want to make a living with it. So I think NFTs can be a potential for you monetizing all of this content you're creating daily.
Hmm. Yeah, I have a NFT marketplace with
Hmm.
my art for sale. So
Yeah.
you can go to the link in my bio and see it. And I think for me personally, my audience, my Instagram audience, is not the NFT crowd.
Hmm.
So like I have NFTs for sale, but my audience like isn't really into NFTs, and I really haven't been able to connect with like the deep like NFT nerds out there to like
Hmm.
really like break through. So I'm sure it'll happen. I've sold a total of one NFT, so I'm sure I'll sell some more. It's not really high on my priority list right now.
Totally. And again, I think it's also about surrender and see how you feel about it, because I mean, I don't know much about it. I just, like you, read a few things and seen a few things, but not totally an expert on it. So I'm pretty much like you, but it could be the future. It could not be, but just the time will say it. And James, tell me something. Do you have like a specific mission or purpose that you want to bring right now, like in the world?
Hmm. I mean, the work that I do, I guess the essence of my work is
Hmm.
at the integration of consciousness and creativity,
Yeah.
right? Because even the art that I make, it's kind of about consciousness,
Hmm.
right? And I'm using consciousness to fuel it. So I'm really at that intersection, I think, because I think that creativity is the most pure form of spirituality, or one of them, right? Because I guess just pure devotion can be might might be up there too, which is like what yoga is based on. But when I think about my creativity, like when you break down what creativity is, you're using the power of the imagination and your intuition to tap into invisible realms. Already we're like deep into woo woo territory. Like that's, and I'm just describing just factually what creativity is.
Hmm.
And then we find it when we enter these invisible realms through intuition, imagination, and then we're given relics in the form of ideas or insights or just a sense of something. And then we bring back that treasure and then use our human body, which is animated by the life force of the universe itself
Yeah.
to make that idea manifest in the physical form. That's a mind-blowing thing to do. That's anytime anyone does something creative, that's what they're doing. So if that's not a spiritual practice, you know, I don't know what is.
Mm. Yeah, yeah, I feel you with that, and I think that's for sure like one of the spiritual expression of the self. So then I must guess that one of your purpose and mission is to potentially like combine creativity and spirituality and consciousness together, and possibly making it more mainstream, making it more possible for people.
Yeah, yeah. I've definitely been in the past year been called more into my mission as a teacher.
Mm,
I think we need teachers
yeah,
today, and so as opposed to just being an artist and a writer, which is great and that's enough, but in addition to that, I want to teach creativity.
mm,
So I've been running online courses and doing one-on-one coaching
yeah,
to just to help teach conscious creativity.
mm,
Because I think right now we need not only doers but also teachers, like people to step up into leadership positions
yeah,
to help elevate, you know, the consciousness of the collective.
mm,
So that's kind of a role I've been just really been called to step into more and more recently. And I think that many of us are being called to step up into leadership positions to help, you know, share our knowledge. So not only doing, but also teaching.
mm,
What do they used to say? Uh, those who cannot do, teach. That was like it was like almost like a jab at teachers, like, oh, they can't actually do it, so they have to teach it. But
yeah,
I think now it's like, if you can do, you're responsible to teach.
mm-hmm, yeah,
So it's that one extra level of
mm-hmm,
embodying whatever it is that you are, you know, whatever practice you have
yeah.
through teaching.
And potentially being also more in service, more being more in a position of service, and then all of this karmic vibe will come back to you in massive ways. And actually, I am part of a community. Do you know Adam Roa?
I think I've heard the name.
Yeah, so I'm part of his community, and actually, like this community is based on these three things, which is business, creativity, and relationships.
Mm,
And honestly, I feel like you're gonna be like an amazing fit for that, like as a teacher. So
yeah.
I will do my best to put you in touch with them, and because I feel like yeah, honestly, I love what you do, and you wanna teach now, and you did it already. So I think there is some potential there. So, but I'm gonna be in touch with you soon about it, and I will let you know. And before I ask you the last question, can you tell me what is your favorite book that you have behind you?
Oh man, it's hard to pick a favorite. You know, there are a few. Um,
Let's say one you
I'm
wanna
sure
share
you
with
know
us.
this. I'm sure you know this one. This is "Be Here Now" by Ram
Yes,
Dass,
yes, yes, yeah.
and I love this because it's
Mm.
very artistic.
Yes, definitely.
So these are um, the teachings that Ram Dass learned in India,
Mm-hmm.
and this is another one that was a big influence on me. This is called NYC Babylon, and this is a collection of stories and interviews from the Beat Generation, which is
Mm-hmm.
a collective of poets and writers in the 1940s and 50s. And this book is about them and also the influence they had on the American punk rock scene in the 1970s and 80s. So this book introduced me to a lot when I was living in a small town in Minnesota.
Mm-hmm.
This book introduced me to a lot of artists and musicians that were very influential to me. So I found this book when I was like 17 years old,
Mm-hmm.
and it definitely changed my life.
So dope. Thank you so much for sharing it. I also love to read and I love books, and I saw how you have creativity in the books, like like Be Here Now. Incredible. I read not that side. I've got the Kindle, but as I'm saying that, I would love to have a copy, a hard copy. So on my way. So James, tell me, like, what is like one last message that you wanna leave us today before we wrap up? Like, what is like something you wanna like leave for us for this time?
Just be nice to yourself. Just be kind to yourself, to your own body. You know, listen to the wisdom of the body. Get out of the mind.
Mm-hmm.
You know, tune into the heart, and just go easy.
Yes, thank you. So James, it's been such an honor, and I'm so stoked we talked and we got to know each other a bit better. And please, if there's anything I can do to support you, please do not hesitate. Like for me in life, we are all brothers and sisters. If there is anything I can do to support you, like already I have this intuition, I would love to connect you with these guys, and potentially I would love to see you there in this community. And yes, if there's anything else, let me know. And also, I want to invite everyone here that doesn't follow you to give you a follow and to follow your beautiful art and work, which is just amazing. And also, I would love for everyone here to invite you for a free breathwork experience that is happening every Friday. I think is 1 p.m. MST, Mountain Time Zone. It's some sort of psychedelic breathwork. So if someone wants to come and want to experience this deep connection with God, and this deep connection with themselves, everyone is invited here. Just DM me the word breath. Like this is how I love to serve. And of course, James, if you want to join, you can also come, and potentially maybe you can also lead for us some again meditation or something, whatever feels right for you.
I love it. Thank you, brother. Appreciate it.
Yes, James, I wish you a wonderful day, full of love, wisdom, and creativity, and to everyone here. And see you next time.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.